we can do all things through him, not us. So, our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for leading, guiding, and directing. We want to praise you for being our helper today, for keeping us safe as we've done different things with tools that could potentially cause injury, and we want to be safe all day and from all harm and danger. And we thank you. We pray that you will help us now as we learn what to do when accidents happen and how to treat them. And we just pray for your continued guiding in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. Well, one of the aspects of all of this is if something like today, if something happened out there, we would have an option. We could take care of it ourselves, or we could go to a hospital, go to a clinic. But we may not always be able to do that. There's definitely a point in time coming. My personal opinion is if I have to go to a hospital at this point to get a broken arm taken care of, I'm going to be thinking twice about whether I'm going to go or not. Because if they're going to make me get vaccinated in order to put a cast on my arm, I'm probably going to say, forget it, I'll take care of it. Now, if I have a broken leg, and by the way, I was an EMT for a while, I mentioned that earlier, so I have a little bit of training, ditch medicine training, and some of those things is what I'll be sharing. But so let's say I have a broken leg. I'm going to stick my leg up here. Okay, we have a big artery that comes right through here in your leg. And if you end up with a broken leg, especially if it's up here, there is a very high chance that artery can get poked or severed. If this artery gets severed, even if the bone doesn't come through the skin, you could bleed to death internally in a quick hurry. So if I were in a situation where we had a break and that was there, if I could go to a medical facility, I'd probably say I think it's a good idea we should go. Hopefully we'll do our best to not be getting any vaccinations or anything that we don't want. But that's going to probably require a surgery to take care of it. If we can't go, we're going to do the best we can and pray for God to help us fill our lack. If we get that traumatic. Point in case, an example. Melanie here a few years ago, when we were out west, she went out the front door of the house, around the corner, onto the concrete slab that was there coming out. And we didn't have any rain gutters on the house. And it was wintertime and water had been dripping off and there was ice on the concrete and it had warmed up enough and melted a little bit. So we had water on ice. That creates an extra slick. And she was hurrying. She went down. She lit on her arm. She broke her arm. Left arm, right? No, right arm. Right arm, just about 2 inches above the wrist, and she snapped both bones all the way in two. Just bent it like that. So she starts calling, Mark. And by the time I hear her from the other end of the house, she had grabbed her arm, which of course I can't bend it up here. She grabbed her arm, kind of put a little tension and traction on it because it was hurting. So she pulls and she straightened it out. By the time I got there to where she was at, she was coming in the door. She picked herself up, was holding her arm, coming back in the door, and she says, I broke my arm. And I said, well, let's check it and see if you broke it. And she goes, no, I broke it. Well, it looked straight to me because she'd already kind of aligned things. So I started feeling, and she's like, ow, ow, ow. And I was like, yeah, okay, I can feel it. Yeah, you broke both bones. She goes, yeah, I know it was bent. She goes, and she's holding it, and I have her arm, and she goes, it was bent like this. And I'm like, okay, so you said it. And she goes, yes. So she had kind of straightened it out. So what we did to start with is I put her on ice, and I used I forgot to grab it and get it out. I used an ace bandage because I didn't have a splint handy. and I got her wrapped up in an ace bandage with some ice on it and sat her down and took care of it. I got on Amazon and I ordered what is called a SAM splint. It says SAM on it. And this is the actual one that we used on her. So you're up here to be my helper. So come on up here. We're going to show a couple of different techniques with this. But, by the way, if we took her to the doctor and they put a cast on her, now I can't do a poultice with comfrey and other herbs to help it heal. But without a cast, every single day we would make a poultice. We would take her out of this brace and we would put a poultice on it for a few hours. And we had her drinking this stuff as well. And putting it in 3 weeks, she was done with this. They say it's 6 weeks for a broken bone to heal. 3 weeks, she was done with this. Using her arm cooking, she couldn't lift anything yet with it. It hurt. It was, the body was saying, don't, that's wrong. So all we did, when you have a broken bone, so we're going to use hers as an example here. So we broke it right here. We want to immobilize, and we're going to, you know what? I want to scoot this whole table forward. So hopefully there's a camera up above us here. And maybe we'll be able to get better in the camera if we keep, so come a little bit this way. There you go. So hopefully they can see that. So if the break was here, so we make something nice, we immobilize the joint below and above where it's broke. No matter where, when you have a break, you immobilize the joint above and below. So we took this, and his arm's a little short. I'm just going to bend this down since we're doing this out of the way. Now, I'm just going to shape it to his arm, to his hand. This ace bandage is going to be a little short, but we could always get another. With putting on an ace bandage, we take, and he's a good patient. He's like totally relaxed. I'm holding his arm up here. Anyway, we take it, we leave it in the roll, and we don't stretch it out. If we do this, we're going to cut off circulation, and his fingers are going to go numb in a quick hurry. So we just barely pull, and we just start rolling. Now, because we want it, like I said, this is going to get a little, be a little too, whoops. Okay, we're going to bend you like that. And we're going to bend this like that as well. I would probably cut that SAM splint off if this was the real thing. So we take that, we do it up like that. Let me see if I have another. I do. Too much playing, MJ. Yep. So I'm going to come clear down here onto the back of his hand. Wrap that around because I don't want it to move. Feels pretty stable, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. And if it were broke, he'd be, by the way, if we wanted ice on it because of swelling, all we've got is a couple layers right here of ace bandage. We could still put an ice bag right here on this. So now, we don't want this poor guy to have to hold his arm out here like this forever. So what we want to do is just gently bring you around like this. Bring your hand up a little bit. Not much, just about like that. Above, you want your hand just right there. Just a little sloped slightly upwards, okay? Then what we do, this is called a triangle bandage. By the way, we're going to get all of you playing with some of these here real soon. So we take this triangle bandage, and we just kind of roll it up. I took the point, and I'm rolling, so my longest deals are out. Oh, let's see here. Almost goofed. That'll be the second one. I almost forgot here. Getting ahead of myself. I was thinking where I wanted to go next with everything and forgot what I was doing. Okay. We're going to take, this is the point. You can see that it's not a perfect triangle. This is shorter distance here than it is from here to here. So we're going to take and just do a little overhand knot, kind of like when you start tying a shoe, right here in the corner of that. Just a little knot right there. And we're going to make a sling for his arm. So we're going to set this knot right here in the corner. We're going to take the underside, come around that side of his neck, and we're going to take this side and bring it around this side. Now we've got a sling. You can relax it. It'll just set there. It'll hold it, okay? So we've done that. Now, if we're having to walk, especially if our break was up here, and if it was up here, we'd obviously, if we had the SAM splint, we could have gone further. Even if we don't have a SAM splint, I'm kind of showing multiple things here. Even if we didn't have the SAM splint, we're just out and we've got a triangle bandage, okay? I'll show you with this here in a little bit what we can do with a leg. So we can take this, if it's this area up here, we go under this arm, we bring this around, and we go this way to stabilize. I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot back here loosely. So this kind of helps stabilize this to stabilize the shoulder, because if our break is here in this area, and we wouldn't want that directly over a break, but if our break was here, we want to mobilize this joint. Well, in the process to immobilize this one and this one, we obviously wouldn't need his hand wrapped, but we are going to need the arm stabilized. So just like this, we've quickly stabilized him so that he is, if we're needing to keep walking, he can keep walking. If we're out on an afternoon hike and he trips over a tree vine and falls down and lands on a rock and he breaks his arm, and you're packing a couple of these with you, you could put him in a splint, or put him in this sling, wrap it, hold it, and okay, it's still going to be hurting like crazy, throbbing, and it's not going to be comfortable, but he's going to be able to walk out, because now he's not trying to hold his arm and walk out. He still has one hand free to be able to use, and so it can hold it. Even if we're going to go to see a doctor, yeah, you could build a shelter with one hand. It'd be a lot harder, but you could, if you're alone, you could do this. It'd be really hard to tie something up here, but it is possible. You can tie knots. I mean, it takes practice and a little work. So this is a quick, easy way, even if you don't have the SAM splint, to splint with. I like them quite well. I think there's some other names for them, but the SAM splint is a real common one. Okay.
After done with doctor, did you just leave it here like that?
That's what we did with Melanie.
Yeah.
That's what we did with her. When she broke her arm, we never, ever took her to a doctor. Melanie, stick your hand up there and see, it all works fine.
Afterward, I had a little problems with mobility in my two last fingers, and they were aching. I couldn't straighten them out. And we went to some meetings, and there was a naturopathic physician there, and she said,
I'll need you in again in a minute.
You jammed it and broke it. You bound up this, and because I had lumps on my arm, they were pretty tender, and she just took and rubbed them for 2 days, different times during the day, and made me cry. But it did. It released all of that until I had full mobility and no more pain. So
what she's saying, just for the mic, or for those, if there's somebody online or for the recording, is that she had what happened with the break, the muscles actually kind of grew. It healed so well, almost healed too well, and the muscles attached in places where they shouldn't be attached, so it wouldn't move. It bound up, and so it wouldn't move, and her little fingers she wasn't getting full momentum, or mobility, not momentum, but mobility out of it. And by just simple massage, deep massage on that it got that moving. And the lady that showed Melanie that didn't fix it. She just showed her what to do. Melanie fixed it her for the next few weeks. She did you a couple of times. It helped. It made a big difference, But Melanie treated her own self, and no, we never ever took her we didn't need a X-ray to know it was broken. She knew it was broke. She'd seen it was broke. And so when it's not a compound fracture, which just means the bone is protruding, they're actually not that hard to take care of. It just takes a little common sense. Our older son broke his leg coming off of a horse, and he called me. He said, "Mom, don't move me. Get Dad," because he knew it was bad. He was pretty young at the time, like 10 or 11 years old, 10 years old. So I was called, and I came down, and I evaluated, and I took my pocket knife, and I flipped it out, and I grabbed his pant leg, and just slit his pant leg all the way up. I did it with the knife sharp out so that I wasn't hurting him. Didn't cut him any. Anyway, and I got up here, and I saw bruising right up when I got up near the top. And I went, uh-oh, because there's that artery up there. There's that bruising area. And that told me that we had some severe bleeding going on, because it had only been a few minutes, and we had some pretty heavy bruising. So we took him to a doctor, and yeah, it was a spiral break. There was 6 inches of bone that was just shattered. It ended up being surgery, 2 pins in his leg.
And if we'd have pulled it,
there was one of those splinters had gone into the blood vessel. And I suspicion it was partially plugging it, but it was also partially plugging the hole. So if I would have tried to set that leg, I would have likely pulled that out, and he'd have bled to death right there on the spot. So there is a little bit of, you got to look. If there's bruising that goes with it, especially on the leg, immediate bruising. I'm not talking a week later. I'm talking immediate. Yeah, you're going to have to, it's going to take more than what we can do. And if you can't go to a doctor because of whatever reason, then it's time to get on your knees and seriously pray. Because the great physician can do what we can never do and what medical facilities can never do. So I think before I go on with triangle bandages and that, I want to talk about medical kits for a moment. These are military style, Vietnam type era kits. This has been my kit that I have carried for more than 20 years. What? Pull the table back to me again? Okay. Is that good? Okay, sorry. So these are medical kits that we've had for a long time. I want to briefly go through and show you what I carry. By the way, this one's mine. This one is Matt's. This one is soon going to be mine. This one's brand new. I think actually, yeah, I'll go through what's in my kit first. This one's new. I'm going to tell you about it in a moment. So you got multiple pockets. Things that I carry. I've got some tape for bandaging. I've got some bandaging material. This is a gauze. It's actually from another country, so they can't read the label on it. I've got some lavender essential oil. I've got some peppermint essential oil. I've got some what's called Nature's Shield. It's for sick throat, sore throat, or whatever. Carry a CPR face shield in here. Oh, one of my favorites. I got to show this one. I have a syringe needle. It's a monster syringe needle. It's a 16 gauge by 1.5 inches. The reason I like these, this is not so I can give a shot. For the most part, I don't do that. I'll explain that statement in a second. But this is a sharpened needle, and it's got a nice, great big hole in it. This is the best sliver digger that you can ever find. You can take that thing and just get in there. I actually used it just a few days ago. We had a fellow that came to our house and he goes, I have got something on my arm here. I looked at it and I said, that to me looks like a spider bite that he had. I use this needle because it's sharp and it gives me a little poke. I used it, I kind of scraped it open, used the poke, dug at it a little bit, and we put a charcoal poultice on it. It worked, and I threw the needle away. You can get these at the farm and feed supply. Need a license to get them or anything special. You can get, a handful of them. If I use them on somebody else, I tend to just throw them away when I'm done. If I use them on us, I tend to hang on to them and just use them. I mean, we would reuse, most of us will go get a sewing needle to dig a sliver or a large pin or something. These work so much better. They're so nice. I've actually taken big slivers and just followed it almost right in and just run the sliver right inside the needle. They work really well for that. So other things that I have. I've got some little gauze. This pack needs to be gone through. I've got some little gauze pads in here. I have some, these are some unique little guys. This says Chroma Gut. Anybody know what Chroma Gut is?
Yes.
Wood. It's sewing. It's for suturing. If you've got a really bad wound that needs to be sewed up, you can get this kind of thing. They're kind of hard to find sometimes. Veterinarian supplies, sometimes you can get them, and or farm and feed stores you can get it. But I'll tell you what you can get that's even simpler yet, dental floss. I have used tons and tons of dental floss. And maybe I should say rolls and rolls. Tons might be an exaggeration by just a little. But I have used rolls and rolls and rolls of dental floss because when we were on the ranch, I often had to suture the sheep. Where the sheep shearers were shearing and they cut the sheep because they weren't being careful. When a dog got into the sheep and tore it up, I had to sew things back up. There was numerous treatments that I had to do the sheep. I have sewed lots and lots and lots of, and dental floss works great. By the way, the fancy stuff here, dissolving suture, so you don't have to take it out, that you can get from it. Dental floss will actually dissolve and go away after a while being in the body. If you wouldn't have to, it would be ready to take out but long before it would go away, but you could not take it out. A sewing needle and dental floss would work. I carry in my pack, this is a surgical instrument kit for minor surgery. And no, I am not a surgeon. They don't train EMTs to do surgery. Not even. We package them up and haul them to the hospital as an EMT on the ambulance. But what I specifically got this for is if I'm in a situation where I can't go, I want some basic tools. There's some scissors, there's some tweezers, there's some clamps in here. And I've experimented and used these things. I actually, years ago, there's a scar on my finger. I used to shear sheep, obviously being with the ranch. I stuck my finger my index finger, my left hand, in my sheep shears. And I cut it from right here all the way down, clear out to the fingernail, and I just laid it open. So it was clear to the bone, just took the whole end of my finger, just plopped it open. My older son was there working with me. I'd taught him to shear at that point when I'd done that. And I was shearing a ram, which is a very large sheep. I cut it, I saw it. There were people videoing us there on that one. And so I pulled my hand back, shut the shear off, and I said, hey, and I took my thumb and just kind of pulled things shut. And I go, hey, Mike, I need you to finish this one. I just ticked my finger with the shear. And he's like, okay. So, because they're recording us. I mean, this family was filthy rich. They had like a TV production camera they were using there for their multi-million-dollar horse farm. We learned afterward the sheep I was shearing was a $30,000 sheep. I was glad it was my finger and not the sheep that I cut. Anyway, I went out. So when I got home, I wrapped up my finger in there. How are you? And I was like, wrapped it up real tight and whatnot. And it was showing a little sign of blood, and it'll be fine. So we get in the vehicle, and my son says to me, how bad did you cut your finger? And I said, really bad. I went to the bone. He's like, okay. And I said, when we get home, we're going to have to, he goes, yeah, we're going to have to doctor you up. He put 4 stitches in this finger. While I sat there and gritted my teeth, I was going to do it myself. By the way, the reason we didn't ask Mama to do it, she could be fine. You could be bleeding and she could help you and work with you. But if it was Matthias or I, Mama goes, and it's all over.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
She'll go, yep, that's exactly what she says. So we've got some different, I even have some little scissors here that have a little in the end. They're for removing sutures. A little hook, you just hook the little hook under it and go snip. And then you take your clamps and pull them out. That's what I did on my finger. I do have, if somebody wants to see it, I have a little tiny scar, runs from about here to here across my finger to prove that I really did that. I'm not making this up. Other than that, yeah, it works. It's fine. We took care of it ourselves. It was kind of an experiment just to see, can we do this? Anyway, so that's that. I carry a bottle of, we're not big on tinctures, and I'll tell you why. This is cayenne tincture. But the reason we don't have much with tincture or do much with tincture is because, so we all know that tincture is made with alcohol, right? It's used, most of the time it's vodka that's being used. It's grain alcohol. So let's do it this way. I have some cayenne in this hand, in a cup, okay? And I have a cup over here in this hand that is alcohol, vodka, okay? And how many of you think vodka's good? Should I be drinking it? No? Okay. Do we consider alcohol a poison? Okay. So vodka, grain alcohol would be a poison. Whiskey, whatever, alcohol is a poison. It's not healthy. It's not good. So I'm going to take my good cayenne and I'm going to pour my good cayenne into my poison. And I'm going to stir it up and put a lid on it and stick it in a sack or stick it in a dark cup. I'm going to shake it every single day, 3 times a day, and let it set in there for a couple of weeks. And then I'm going to take it out and I'm going to strain out my good herb and throw it in the garbage can. And I'm going to say what I have left is better. That to me doesn't make sense. How can I take poison and make it still better? It's still grain alcohol. And I've heard people say, oh, you just put a few drops in a cup of hot water and the alcohol will evaporate. I'm going to say wrong. I don't believe it. And I'll tell you why. I'm telling on myself. And that is many, many years ago, clear back to college days for me, I used to drink whiskey, alcohol. And where I kept my whiskey was tucked in the corner of my water bed. I'd take the lid off, take a swig of it, pull the mattress back, drop it in next to the water bed. I kept my whiskey at 106 degrees because that's the temperature I kept my water bed. I liked a hot bed. And that was my comfort zone. And every night, and sometimes in the morning, I'd gotten in a pretty bad habit of couldn't go to sleep. And trust me, in that quart of whiskey would sit there all week long as I was going through it during the week. That's about what I drank per week was 1 quart. Not a huge amount, but it was a huge amount more than I needed, that's for sure. And it worked just as well at the end of the week as it did at the beginning of the week. So no, that's not boiling water, but the alcohol did not evaporate. So why do I have cayenne tincture in here? It's because of one thing. And that is if you have somebody having a heart attack and you need to get, say you run across somebody or family member. Okay, yes, we can mop up the damage from the alcohol later. But If I can get this, and the alcohol goes into the system very, very quickly, and it's going to take the cayenne with it. So if somebody's having a heart attack and you give them a dropper full, shoot it in their mouth, under their tongue, it's going to be absorbed into the system very, very quickly, and it will do amazing things to help stop a heart attack. It's the only tincture we use internally. We do have one we use externally. I don't think I'm going to take time to share that at this point as to what exactly that is. That's why we have that. That's our thoughts on tincture and where we stand with tincture. Okay, I stock in here lots of aids, all different sizes, shapes, types, kinds. A big chunk. I've got a little pocket in here that I just stuck full so that I have Band-Aids for whatever type of little injury I need. I've tried to set this up so that I have, for whatever I may run into, I've got some what they call athletic tape. It's a little stronger tape. This is another, they call it a field dressing. It's a heavy gauze dressing. This would be like for a trauma injury, abdomen, or major cut on the chest up here, or something like that, where you've got a lot of bleeding going on and you need to get things bandaged up. I carry some latex gloves in here. Here's some more gauze. You saw the little extractor earlier today. Lots of different just bandaging materials. Here's an ancient one. I'm probably going to update this and retire this old guy. This is a 40-inch triangular bandage. Basically the same thing as this, except it's probably a cotton. It's going to be a little stronger material. These are cheapies for practice. But I carry it there. I got some flat pads. The other one that we carry, I got a little bit of it right here. Here's some on a roll. What I want to do, I need my helper up here again. So let's say that we have just so I don't wreck this, no sense in destroying it. So this is a non-stick 3x4 pad for like a bandaging material. So I'm just going to leave it in the package for doing this. So let me see your arm again. Let's say we've got a cut on the inside of your arm here, and we want to bandage this up. So I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to say it's like this. So we lay that on there. There's a medical name for this that they use in like a hospital, but as a rancher, we call this vet wrap. And you can go to the farm and feed store and get it. You can buy it off. This came off of Amazon. Get it in all different green and what different colors. So it's, first of all, it's very stretchy, okay? But the awesome thing about this stuff, it sticks to itself. So we can take this stuff, kind of put it on just like we would that ACE bandage. So I unwrap it, kind of let it come back. I don't want to pull it too tight. I want it tight enough that maybe it'll keep it, if he's trying to bleed out on us or something, it'll put a little pressure. But we wrap that up. And aren't you glad I didn't use the pink one on you? Okay, and I'm hoping they're normally in here. I did this a few weeks ago, and I think my shears got deplaced. I'm going to, the one thing they're supposed to be in there, this is a brand new pair. These are called EMT shears. And they're just awesome for cutting clothing, if you have to remove some clothing. This thing works just awesome well. Just that quick, we've got a simple bandage on him. When we need to change this bandage, we can grab this corner. By the way, there's the neat thing about this, there's no tape that we used. What happens when you put tape on? it sticks, it pulls hair, it becomes a real challenge to do. So as I take this off, let's say we're going to change the bandage. I just kind of roll it back up as I'm doing this. I take this bandage off. I put a new one back on. Let's go ahead and put a new one back on there. I take this and I start rolling it back out. And I put it right back on him again with a new bandage on here. And I've used the same. Now, if he blood soaked it or something, we wouldn't reuse it unless we didn't have any options. We'll just stop there. Anyway, so they were able to reuse it and put it back on. You can get away with this for several days. So it's very usable. It works well. It's easy to do. It makes an awesome bandage. It's even kind of pretty. Okay. So, what?
Does it show up on your infrared?
I'm sure it would.
It's so brilliant, yeah.
It wouldn't show heat, but it would show the,
Under black light.
yeah, under black light it might show up real well. Okay, so those are the basics that I have in my pack. I want to get to some other things, so I'm going to kind of move on with some of this. So I have one more of these packs similar to this one here that's been my pack for a long time. And it was my first one. I gave it to Matt, and the problem with it, when you pull this top down like this over the top of it and snap it, what would happen is this kind of falls up, and this piece, because the way it was built, this piece here on the end would just fall out of the end. It wouldn't stay together. And I was looking at a place called Sportsman Guide. I don't know if any of you have heard that, sportsmanguide.com. And I was searching through their website for just looking at some stuff, and I found this pack. And I looked at the price tag, it was $59.99, and I thought, ooh, them are expensive. And then I looked and said, wait a minute, they are fully stocking this pack for $59.99. Well, you go buy a few boxes of Band-Aids and see what you come up with. You'll come up with it in a hurry. So here is the pack. I actually liked it so well, I gave it to Matt. But then decided to buy another one because I'm going to replace this one. This one's kind of a nylon. A Sportsman Guide. And this pack, it says Elite First Aid Kit in here inside. Anybody that wants to, I can send you a link to it for it. But I want to show you what they put in here. I think it's awesome. So a couple of things. Normally, we don't go for the instant cold packs. I don't carry those because the ones you can buy like from Walmart, you put them in a pack and they pop. And they get cold and they die, and so I've never carried the instant ice pack because they're always bad every time you go to need them. So Melanie here, not long ago, yeah, Matt, the ones out of Matthias's pack. Yeah, no kidding. We're gonna save these. So here's what happened. Back about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, Melanie jumped up. We were in Mena, Arkansas at a camp meeting. She jumped up, she kicked the picnic table leg with the top of her foot and broke her foot.
It's still broken.
It's getting better.
It's getting better now. She wouldn't stop and she wouldn't wear the walking boot that I got for her, and she was a naughty girl. So Matt gets out the ice pack when she's sitting on the couch and has her foot up, and he's like, here, let's try this. And we go to pop this thing. We squeezed and couldn't pop it. We finally figured out the trick with the way you push with your thumbs and got it to pop. It's actually probably was a pretty good one. So there's two medical or instant cold packs. This is a triangular bandage. There's the EMT shears. There's a bleed stop bandage that's in that one. So that's what they stuck in there. There's tape. There's tweezers. There's some more tape. There's a pill bottle with a lid. So I guess you could put your pills or whatever. We didn't keep that in Matt's. They put some lip balm in it. All kinds of goodies here. There's some safety pins down there. Here's a soap. Oh, it's a bar of soap that's down in there. I don't normally carry soap. Here's first aid burn cream. Here's some tweezer, or yeah, clamps actually they call them. So clamps like what's in my surgical kit. There's some more first aid burn cream. Here's an oval eye patch. Here's a bunch of antiseptic towelettes. There's some ibuprofen that can go in the garbage can. I wouldn't put it in my body. More towelettes. There's a bunch of those. Some Band-Aids. Here's some sterile alcohol prep pads. That might be nice. And some iodine pads. That's definitely nice. Iodine for cleaning a wound. So that's what was in there. There was these fancy little plastic tweezers. Better than nothing. So the next pocket, not much they put in there. Oh, here's a nylon monofilament suture. So they give us a suture in this kit.
One-time use.
One-time use suture. Then in this area, they gave me a 6-inch ace bandage. They gave me a SAM splint, like what we've got there, except it's black. Some absorbent pads, some gauze rolls for bandaging, an emergency blanket. By the way, there are emergency blankets in here. I just forgot to mention it. Some more gauze sponges, some littler gauze pads for bandaging, some latex gloves, a bottle of, this is an eye wash solution. It's a purified water with saline solution. You could use it as an eye wash. You could also use it for washing out if need be, because although in all honesty, out in the outback, nothing's sterile. So to worry about having sterile gloves or sterile solution, probably not a huge thing, because nothing around you is sterile. You're not in a hospital. Here's a latex tourniquet. And then there was this little guy. Anybody know what this is for? Nope. Not a finger sprint. So yep, you got it. So what this is if, and it does take a little bit of training, although I think most people could probably do it, especially in emergency. If somebody has, for some reason, their airway is blocked, this is to open up. I'm throwing it away, thank you. So this is to open up an airway. You literally take this thing, and if they've had a seizure, their tongue is trying to go back and whatnot, this helps to hold that. You literally just take this thing and I'm not going to do it because it hits the glottis and a good chance you might make them throw up. I don't want to do that here for you. But there's a slot right here on either side of this, both sides, so that it opens up and you bring it clear back to where the front teeth are sitting right here at this point. And so it opens up that airway. I was amazed to see this. I've never actually used one. I've been trained how. I've never actually done it. I haven't had the need to do it. But I was kind of tickled to have it. It could save somebody's life someday by having it. So that's what's in here in this pack for the $60. So then what we do is go through, modify it. I would want more Band-Aids, maybe a few more pair of latex gloves. There's definitely more room in here. I was tickled to see a SAM splint. It's not real heavy, but it is kind of bulky. Takes up a lot of space, but I think it's good, usable items, usable things. So I guess you could say I'm doing an advertisement for them. I don't get anything for doing that. But that's, so The neat thing too, this old kit had 3 zippered pockets and just an open little spot. This one's got 4 zippered pockets. Flip this up, flip this down. And you've got strap. This one's not even been lengthened out yet, but you lengthen them out so you can throw it over your shoulders. So having a first aid kit is awesome. Now what I want to do is demonstrate a little more. Let me set this one down. I'm not going to open up Matt's kit. It's very similar to what's in mine. Let's talk about a broken leg with this, and then where are we at? 5:18, and I've got till 6. We got just under 45 minutes. Okay, because we want to give you guys some time. So we're going to do a practice on a leg. So, tell you what, let me I think this table will support you. Let's have you come sit up here on my table. Just, yeah, sit down there and stick your feet out here in front of me. Okay, and that works. So, let's say we've got a broken leg. And this is why I'm showing you this, is because these things are just awesome for a lot of stuff. So the first, and we're out in the woods, we've got a broken leg. Now, whether or not, at this point we can say, okay, we can get him in, we'll take him to a doctor, great. But you're way out. And you know that you're going to have to try to move him to get him in. So we've got to do something to immobilize this thing so he can handle being moved, whether he's being carried, whether he's hobbling, whether he's, whatever your method. Or even if you don't move him and you're going to just leave him there and you've got on your cell phone and you called for help and you've got search and rescue coming to your aid. This is still something that can be done. So we take our triangular bandage and we again start rolling it up. And I'm trying to do, it's easier on a flat surface, but I'm trying to do this up here where I can be seen, not only by camera, but by everybody else. So we roll this thing up like this. And what we do, we're going to gently straighten his leg out. I'm going to set your toe up. You can't, he's tight. Okay, so we're going to try to set things straight. And we're going to go on this side. We're going to put this up like this so that it's not below his foot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap this once around my stick. And then I'm going to take very carefully, obviously his leg is broke. We're not wanting to beat him up or anything. We're just going to take that. So I've wrapped it around his leg. Since I've got enough room here and leg, I'm going to carefully slip this under. What I'm doing is I'm building a splint. I'm going to now tie a knot. I don't want to tie it so tight that I'm cutting off circulation. In fact, what I probably would do is take his shoe off, because then I could feel on top of his, I'm going to do it. So right here, right in here on the toe, you can take a pulse, you can take it over here on this side, and you might have to feel around. You don't want to use your thumb, but you can feel around, find the pulse. You can find it back here. Where is it here? Right here behind the ankle. You can feel the pulse. Okay, I can feel it right there. I picked it up right there. So my purpose is, this is not too tight. I have a nice pulse. If I don't get a pulse down here, I've made this too tight. I'm cutting off the circulation. You've all had your blood pressure taken, and when they pump it up and it makes it so tight in your hand, well, that's only for a few seconds. You do that for an hour or two, and you start creating problems. So now, back to our deal. We're going to take another To do a leg and to do it up properly, I like 4 of these. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lift my stick up. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to wrap it around my stick. I'm going to slip it under his leg. I'm right below, we've got the knee joint right here. I'm just, for sake of time, there's probably enough room there. I could move that, but I'm going to tie this one again. Okay. So I've done that. Now what we're going to do, so I'm going to grab another one of these things. And I'll make this the last one just for our time so we can get everybody some practice here. We're going to do the same thing, except in reality, what we would want to do is we would want to do this one more time even yet. I want a little bit more on this side. So I'm going to reach into there, slip that up. Okay. Going to check him again down here. Thump, thump, thump. So I'm not too tight. We've got it. We would want to do it again right up here. Now we've completely immobilized. If our brake is in here, we don't want to put one of these directly on the brake. We want to kind of go above and below, if possible. If you're going to take him to a doctor's office, or a hospital or whatever, if you're calling for help and stuff, you don't try to set bones or move things. You just move it as little as possible. Get a splint on it to stabilize it. Now, the other thing that we could do, I'm going to take this off. So let's say we're going to we've called for getting some help to come help us. Okay, we're going to get rid of our stick. So that's one method. Let's do another method. He's got a good leg. We're going to use it. Okay, set your other leg up here. Okay, I want both of them just side by side. Okay.
You need the shoe out or no?
No, we can leave it on. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to say this leg closest to me is the one that's still broke. We're just going to take this. Sorry, I'm being rough because I'm hurrying. Normally, we would be very, very careful. We're going to pull it up there. I'm going to pull those up like that. We're going to use one leg against the other leg. This leg is now becoming my splint for this leg, okay, by tying the two together. And the same thing, the same method again. We're going to tie them together. Okay, so we've accomplished the same thing without a splint. Obviously, he's not walking anywhere when he's all tied up like this. We're going to do the same thing up here above the knees. And I'm just tying them real quick just for demonstration purposes. So that helps to stabilize and immobilize things here so that we don't add insult to injury and make things worse. You can set the bone, like we talked about with Melanie. She actually pretty much set her own. Okay, you can get down. I'll let you have your shoe back too. Thank you. So I'm not going to try to go into that. It takes a little bit more time. That's something they don't teach us as an EMT. I learned that on the ranch with working with the animals with broken limbs. I've splinted broken bones on the animals, and numerous times and successfully we've not done me, but we've done Melanie 2 times now with it. So what I want to do is we want to take the rest of our time here, and we want to So neither one of those. I thought I had one that was open. Maybe I don't. I don't think I do. Okay, so we want to give everybody a chance to practice. What I'd like you to do, here's your test. You didn't know I was going to do this to you. I want you to get in teams of 2 people so you can work together. And I want you to make a sling for an arm. Left arm, right arm, doesn't matter. Make the sling for it. Put the sling on. Practice it. Do both. Oh, that's the other one. Matt just reminded me. I'm going to do one more. And so you can do this one too. So we're going to roll this up. Let's say we've got a head wound.
Somebody hit you in the head with a baseball bat.
Okay, come on back up here again for me. You can come around the table. You don't have to sit down this time. So what we're going to do, so he's got a big old gash on his head, okay? So we're going to take this and use it as a bandage. We'll just go like that around the head. We can also, if we need to, we can tie it this way if it's up on top of the head in here. You know, you can tie multiple directions. They're real cute that way. So you can use your imagination with this, getting, you know, coming across for holding, if you need to hold the jaw, if something's gotten hit, if you've got a face wound here. These triangle bandages are just so universal as far as their abilities. There's bunches of stuff that you can do with them. Look it up online. Take a look at the list. I mean, I've shown you about 3 or 4 things. I think there's something like 20 or 25 different things. So anyway, come up here, grab some of these and open them up. Practice with somebody. Practice doing a sling or head bandages or whatever. So that you can do it. And remember to do the sling. We've got our triangle, okay? This is our point that's the short distance, and we just tie. So I'm giving you a little help here, cheats. We tie a knot in it. Put your arm up there again, like it's broke. So no, bring it up. So what you do, so if they broke their arm, guaranteed they're not going to be sticking their arm out like this for you. They're going to be holding their arm just like this because it hurts. Okay, so this hand is going to have come up and you'll be holding your arm. That's going to be natural instinct. So what we do, we tie our little knot. We stick the knot right at his elbow. Pull this side here underneath, lay it up over his shoulder. Take this side, bring it up around this way, and we tie our knot. And the other thing we do is we make sure this comes clear down onto the fingers. So there you go, you can relax. It'll hold it. So it comes clear down onto the fingers, so we're mobilizing this joint by doing that, by getting it all the way down. We want it elevated just slightly above being straight across, and we're in a good position. And then, of course, you can wrap the other one if you're wanting to immobilize this up here. So that's the method again. Kind of like starting fires. Come practice it. You'll go to do that, and you'll go, now, how did he put that up around the neck? You should have seen the fun we had at your deal when we did this. It was really fun. Some of the kids that were doing it, they had themselves still tangled up in these things. It was hilarious. But it was good. It was good fun. So come on up. Let's play. And what? Oh, question. And I forgot this last time too. There are 2 safety pins that they give you with these things. Pretty much common. Sometimes they give you 3 that get. So when you do this, you bring it up and around. You could safety pin it. I learned that safety pins are slow. A knot is much faster. And for when we use them and whatnot, when I've used them in the past, we just tied a knot in it because we grab our EMT shears when we're ready to take it off and just snip and off it comes. So when you tie the knots on somebody, don't cinch them down real tight. We'll have to cut them out of it. But it works great for practice. I mean, you're welcome to use the pins, in all honesty. I don't know. I'd use the pins to hold the clothing together or something. The other thing you could do when you have that, a place to put the pins. So when you have the hand up here like this and it's tied up here, you can actually take these two pieces and pin them together right here above the hand as a way of holding that down. So, okay. Come and, well, come on.
Everybody practicing on somebody.
Yeah, everybody practice. So what you need to do is practice on somebody and then trade and do it the other way. So grab one or two of them and go practice and take them back there for them, sure. Go pick on your brother. There's another one. You'll need a couple of them. He's just sitting back there. You know, there's just one in a package. So you